Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 239. Yo, your boy is fired up today. The New York Academy of Arts and Eileen Guggenheim, these disgusting disgraces have some nerve. On what planet do they get off calling Maria Farmer a liar? After their pitiful ass internal investigation, this is what they come up with, huh? And it's typical. These serpents, these disgusting disgraces that traverse the halls of so-called polite society continue to think that we are going to be abused by them, that we're going to be manipulated by them, and at the end of the day, they believe they will get away with all of it. They will not. Your internal investigation is garbage. Your academy is garbage. You, as human beings, are garbage, and we're going to talk about it on this episode of The Jeffrey Epstein Show. Let's get right to it. This article tonight is from artnet.com. The headline is, "The New York Academy of Art commissioned a report that purports to discredit claims that the school enabled Jeffrey Epstein's abuses." Of course they did. It's all about saving face for these people. They know the deal. They know that if they came out and they admitted wrong, they admitted fault, that they'd be setting themselves up for serious criminal liability. And furthermore, they're still going to be on the hook for that if this RICO case goes the way it should go. How much money did the New York Academy of Art receive from Jeffrey Epstein? How much of that money was made from ill-gotten gains? And if you want to understand RICO a little bit better, and you think I'm BSing you with the way it usually works, just hop onto like YouTube and type in Michael Franzese. Type in any mob guy and type in RICO after his name and see how the government went after them under the RICO statutes. And this is the same exact thing. We have a criminal enterprise. We have a criminal organization. So anybody who was enriching themselves from them ill-gotten gains is now part of the investigation. That is, if we didn't live in a world that was run by the two-tier justice system and human vampires like Eileen Guggenheim and the people protecting her enabling ass. This article was authored by Rachel Corbett. The New York Academy of Trashy-Ass Art is firing back at Maria Farmer, a graduate who accused the institution of enabling the predations of the late sex offender, pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein, a former Academy board member who she says sexually assaulted her and her younger sister in the 90s. They're firing back, huh? Well, that's real nice. That's what you do. You fire back at somebody who has went through the trauma that Maria has went through, somebody who's battling cancer. You fire back, huh? Especially firing back from your untenable position. What do you think, you have the high ground? Meanwhile, while you're busy thinking you have the high ground, you're getting flanked. The Academy, a private art school with the emphasis on a figurative painting that counts Andy Warhol among its alumni, commissioned a law firm to investigate Farmer's allegations that the chair of its board of trustees, Eileen disgusting-ass, gross-ass Guggenheim, introduced her to Epstein and encouraged her to maintain a relationship with him because he was an important donor to the Academy. How would they know? Who did they talk to? Did the investigators and this law firm go to Maria's house and talk to her? If they did, I haven't heard that story yet. Did they go shake Jeffrey Epstein's corpse and have a conversation with him? Maybe they had a seance. Maybe they called their friend Marina Abramovich or whatever her name is, and they did a little seance and some spirit cooking, and they brought Jeffrey Epstein back from the dead and asked him. Who did this investigation even talk to? The report, compiled by attorney Jim Walden of the firm Walden, Mocked and Haran and released publicly today, claims that a number of these allegations are contradicted by Farmer's own sworn statements as well as by other witness testimony. The same attorneys also recently represented Guggenheim and the Academy as legal counsel when Farmer's allegations came to light, but say they severed that relationship when they commenced this investigation. Yeah, okay. Again, more legal nonsense, right? All of these law firms, when you start unraveling them, they all have connections to each other, okay? For instance, I talk about Michael Mukasey and how he was the attorney general when all of this started with Jeffrey Epstein. You know who his son's partner is? Mr. Rudolph Giuliani. I know, just a coincidence, right? The point is, and the example I am trying to put forth, is that all of these people are connected. One way or the other, all of these people are connected. And I don't trust Mr. Walden's investigation, point blank, period. The attorneys reviewed thousands of emails and conducted around 20 interviews with Academy board members, students, and alumni. But instead of turning up significant new information concerning Epstein's 7-year relationship to the Academy, they rely primarily on variations in Farmer's media and court statements as evidence of her dubious credibility and proof that Guggenheim played no role in her interactions with Epstein. This is a complete and utter farce, okay? Maria has been very consistent about what she said, and obviously I do not speak for Maria. Maria and I certainly are friends, but I do not speak for her. But I will say this. I do know the story pretty intimately, and there has been 0 times where Maria has not been honest, where Maria has not provided information that is factually correct. And if you want to talk about information that can't be corroborated or information that can't be fact-checked per se, well, then it comes down to, what do you believe? I most certainly believe what Maria has to say, as opposed to what these disgusting cretins have to say. Not even a question in my mind who the credible one is here, folks, and that is Maria Farmer. Let's remember she bravely came forward when nobody else would. She's remained consistent with her story since the mid-90s. Guggenheim, on the other hand, forget about it. How about a report gets commissioned from an independent source, not Walden, an independent source, and let's see what they come up with, because I have to tell you, Guggenheim and the New York Art Academy, they have not been honest this whole entire time. In fact, how are we to believe an academy that would have Jeffrey Epstein sitting on its board? Furthermore, again, how much money did Jeffrey Epstein put into their pockets? How much money was steered in their direction because of Jeffrey Epstein? And how many of Jeffrey Epstein's criminal friends also gave money to the academy? Every single one of those transactions needs to be looked at, and needs to be looked at under a very, very powerful microscope, because, my friends, you know what time it is, and that time is RICO. Full confidence. The Academy's board says it's commissioned the report out of concern for Farmer and her troubling allegations about Guggenheim and the school. Oh, save us. It has nothing to do with Maria. If you cared about how Maria felt or what happened to Maria, you would have been there as a support system from the very beginning, like an actual school who cared about people would do. But you don't care about Maria. You care about your donors. You care about your bagmen. You care about your image. Not about the students' well-being, not about what happens to the students while they're at your academy, not about what your funders and board members do to these students. No, that doesn't matter to you. So don't act like it does. And don't say that this was commissioned out of concern for Maria, okay? Because I don't think Maria cares about your concern at this point, all right? Because the Academy stands in solidarity with all people who have bravely come forward to expose the truth about the horrific actions of abusers, it took measures to investigate Maria Farmer's allegations in order to assess whether they necessitated further action, reads a statement from the board. Yeah, you guys care so much. You guys care so much that you had Epstein on your board, you have Guggenheim still sitting there as a trustee, and God knows who else you're connected to. I'm sure it's going to come out eventually. But here we are, you talking about full confidence in this woman? That should tell everybody everything they need to know about you and your school. The attorneys do not dispute Farmer's or her sister Annie Farmer's claims that Epstein assaulted them, which we presume to be true. Oh, isn't that nice of you? That's such a concession. Thank you so much, Mr. Walden. You're such a fantastic guy. If they could have used that as to try and prove their innocence, they would have mangled that as well. These people don't care about Annie. They don't care about Maria. They only care about their self-image and covering up the fact that Jeffrey Epstein, a pedophile, sat on their board and Guggenheim enabled him. They do suggest, however, that Maria Farmer, who took a job as Epstein's assistant after meeting him at her graduate thesis exhibition, is responsible for her then-teenage sister's assault. How gross. What sort of disgusting, sick individual do you have to be to even insinuate that? There is a dark, hot-ass place in hell for these people. The only people responsible for what happened to Maria and Annie are Epstein, Maxwell, and the enablers. Are you really going to try and survivor shame here? I'm sure that's going to go over well. Farmer had witnessed young girls going in and out of Epstein's apartment while working for him, the report notes, yet she ignored this and many other red flags, which would have suggested to a reasonable person that introducing her 15-year-old sister to Epstein might end badly. Unfortunately, it did. Are you people for real with that statement? You're the ones who introduced Maria to Epstein. Don't you have any culpability? By going by your own your own train of thought here, then you're responsible for the whole entire thing. You sick, disgusting, depraved sons of bitches. I am absolutely disgusted, literally disgusted, more disgusted than I have ever been during this whole entire case. Right now, as I sit here in the studio, I am so disgusted by the New York Academy of Art and their disgusting-ass crypt keeper-looking, turkey gizzard-necked Eileen Guggenheim. I am so disgusted by the whole lot of them. And polite society as well. I wish that we could have a well-placed asteroid take care of the whole entire situation for us, because these people are seriously depraved and they have no business in society amongst the rest of us with access to children. Furthermore, Maria should know what's going on. Maria should know what's going on as a young girl who has no life experience, who just left your academy. But Eileen Guggenheim, a grown-ass woman, a woman who is supposedly successful and smart and locked into so-called polite society, she shouldn't know what Epstein's up to? Take your dumbass report and shove it. Nobody believes it. Side-by-side statements. One of the chief discrepancies highlighted in the report is Farmer's account of her 1995 thesis show at the Academy, during which she says Guggenheim introduced her to Epstein and his companion, Ghislaine Maxwell. Farmer told ArtNet News that Guggenheim urged her to sell a painting to the couple at a discounted price because they are great benefactors of the Academy. So far, so good. Guggenheim denies that she ever made this introduction or encouraged Farmer to sell work to Epstein. I don't believe that for 1 second. How can they prove it? How can they prove that that's the case, okay? So you want me to believe the Academy that hired Jeffrey Epstein or had him on their board of trustees, then they moved on and had Guggenheim still there, but these are the people that you want me to believe over Maria Farmer. There is about as much chance of that happening as of me walking on to the Raiders football team and starting at quarterback tomorrow. Zero chance it ever happens. You're going to have to come way harder than this, New York Academy of Arts, Eileen Guggenheim. You're going to have to bring way more receipts than what you're providing in this report. The report offers evidence of Guggenheim's assertion, a statement from an anonymous alum who also sold work to Epstein that night and said that Guggenheim wasn't involved in the transaction. Oh, well, that settles it. just because he didn't, the anonymous alum, why are you anonymous? Come forward. Let's see who you are. We want to see what your credibility is, right? This is all part of it. If you're going to throw your hat in the ring and you're going to say that Maria is telling falsehoods, let's hear your name and let's put you on blast as well. And let's see what you're about, homie. But of course, it's an anonymous source. Likely story. It also notes that Farmer told ArtNet News and the New York Times that the painting she sold to Epstein was one inspired by Edgar Degas' The Rape, while she said in a recent Netflix documentary, Jeffrey Epstein Filthy Rich, that the painting she sold him was from a different series. Oh, who cares? The fact of the matter is, these paintings had to be sold to Jeffrey Epstein on Guggenheim's word. I believe Maria Farmer's account. I believe her side of the story. I have talked with Maria at length. Okay? For anyone to assail her credibility like this and do it like low-key diss style the way they're doing it, it's straight garbage and it needs to be met head-on. And that's exactly what I plan on doing. These people are garbage individuals. Their report is a garbage report. And in fact, who cares about your internal investigations, okay? They don't mean anything. Nobody believes your internal investigations, and nobody believes your buddy Walden either. Farmer did not respond to a request for a comment. The report draws on more subtle discrepancies elsewhere, including in Farmer's recollection of a visit that she, other Academy alumni, and Guggenheim paid to Epstein's New Mexico ranch back in the summer of 1995. Farmer has characterized the visit to Epstein's ranch as a dinner party, the report says. However, evidence supports that the visit occurred during the daytime. Again, it's just like they try and do in the courtroom, right? Oh, we got this little technicality, let's latch onto that and hope that we can get off on this with just a technicality. Meanwhile, their own stupid-ass client, Guggenheim, denied ever even being there until she got put on blast by another student who actually was there. Meanwhile, Farmer recalls Ghislaine Maxwell wearing tweed that day, but another alum remembered her in black. Okay, so who do we believe? So I'm just supposed to believe the other alum? Give me a break already, okay? Their defenses here are not very strong. These are not airtight. These have a lot Swiss cheese style holes to take these apart. And if they're going to be calling Maria a liar, and that's what they're doing here, they better have all of their ducks in a row, because I know that Maria's lawyers don't play games. And this is not the sort of issue where her lawyers are going to sit back, I don't think. Again, I haven't spoken to Maria on, about this yet, about any of this, right? So again, I'm just speculating. But from what I know of Bradley Edwards and the other lawyers, New York Academy better be ready. And while Farmer has characterized the encounter as disturbing, a picture taken that day of the alumni posing next to a truck and smiling is presented to the report as photographic evidence that she enjoyed the experience. So, I guess if somebody's assaulted and then they have a picture taken of them right afterwards and they're smiling, the assault goes away? What sort of effing logic is this? Oh, I'll tell you what logic it is. It's the logic of so-called polite society. We'll tell you what we want you to think, and you will think it because that is the narrative. Well, that's not going to occur this time around, okay? Your shit is flimsy, you have no receipts, you have no proof, and furthermore, Eileen Guggenheim and the New York Academy of Art, I think you're the ones who are lying. How about that? Guggenheim has also given conflicting reports of the trip. Initially, she told ArtNet News she had never been to Epstein's ranch, and therefore Farmer's account was a serious mischaracterization. But after another alumni on the trip came forward to corroborate Farmer's story to ArtNet News, Guggenheim reversed her claim, admitting that she had in fact been to the property that day with the alumni. The report does not dispute this. Yeah, of course it doesn't. It can't dispute it. What it's looking to do is try and throw a little bit of dirt on Maria's name. Try and, mark her name up a little bit, right? Make her sound like she's crazy, like she's a liar. When in reality, when you follow all of the evidence and you listen to everything that has been said about these people and you tie it all together, You know Maria's telling the truth, and that these people, once again, are circling the wagons, protecting those so-called members of polite society. And in the meanwhile, once again, somehow avoiding justice. It is time for the school to close the book on this issue, says Academy President David Kratz in a statement. It drained significant amount of time, energy, and financial resources over the past year that would otherwise have gone to the benefit of our students. Oh yeah, okay. I wonder where your donations are coming from now. Have any pedophiles donating to you, Mr. Kratz? Because you sure did for quite some time. You had one in your boardroom. How do you answer that, Mr. Kratz? Are you going to do an investigation into that anytime soon? Or just more misdirection? Nice try muddying the waters, but you must have forgot. I'm an apex predator, like a great white shark, through the mud, through your bullshit, and directly on target. Our reputation was assaulted, our staff and faculty were harassed, and despite having dedicated the past 30 years to helping the school thrive, our board chair was subjected to unfair public attacks. We stand with all victims, you mean survivors, of abuse and believe their voices should be heard, not unless they're, amplifying the misdeeds of my academy and my friends and the people that donate to this place, then you should shut your mouths. You're a liar if you talk about this place, but anybody else, that's cool, that's fair game. But in this case, the academy was not the perpetrator. No, you were the enabler, you dumbass. You were the enabler, in my opinion, okay? You, your academy, Guggenheim, all of you sick bastards, all had your part to play. Another focus on the report is a visit that Farmer made in 1996 to the Ohio estate of Leslie Wexner, the billionaire ex-CEO of Victoria's Secret, where she says she was assaulted by Epstein and Maxwell. She claims she then called Guggenheim and told her what happened, but Guggenheim blamed her for the assault and hung up. How could they prove that one way or the other? Why even add that to your report? I'll tell you why. Because it's a typical tactic of prosecutors like Walden. He's trying to mar up Maria's credibility. He's trying to make Maria look like she's crazy. And that's not going to play out this time. You guys tried that in 2008, 2009, and you got away with it. This time, we're all paying attention. You idiots made the mistake of locking us in our homes for 3 or 4 months with nothing else to do but focus on you. And guess what? Those chickens, they're coming home to roost. Guggenheim denies that Farmer ever called her from Ohio. The report did not find any information about whether the call did or did not take place, but noted that Farmer has recounted the alleged conversation to media outlets with varying degrees of specificity. Sometimes mentioning her sister too, sometimes not, which it says raises concerns about either her candor or memory. No, it doesn't. Okay? It does not. The core of the story has always remained the same. You ever deal with somebody who has PTSD? Add to that somebody who's battling cancer? How dare you? How dare you, Eileen Guggenheim? How dare you, David Kratz? How dare you, New York Academy of Arts? Instead, Guggenheim says that Farmer only mentioned the trip later, once she was back in New York telling Guggenheim that the creepiest thing happened to her with Epstein in Ohio. Guggenheim told the investigators that she responded by telling Farmer, "Don't put yourself in those kinds of situations. Is this lady for real?" According to Maria's account, which I believe, you're the one who introduced her to Epstein. You're the one who put her in this situation. And now, after all these years, after you've been caught in lie after lie, you think you're going to throw dirt on Maria's name? You think you're going to tarnish Maria's credibility? And you think people are going to buy that? The battle is already lost for you. All that we're waiting for now is a trial in court, because the trial in the public eye, public opinion, and the court of the public, you, my friends, are big-time losers. And no amount of reports, no amount of reputation rebuilding is ever going to change that. Enjoy your little fire back here. Enjoy it. Because eventually, when the cards come tumbling down and all the dust settles and the fallout is hanging directly over your head, well, then comes the nightmare of RICO. And if the New York Academy of Arts thinks that they will not be investigated when that time comes, considering their ties financially to Jeffrey Epstein, then they are living in as much of a fantasy world as Eileen Guggenheim, thinking that she holds no responsibility and bears no blame for what happened to Maria Farmer. Somebody should tell all of them that the year 2020 is the year that the predator turns into the prey. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. If you'd like to help out the podcast, you can find the link to the GoFundMe inside of the description box with the link to this article. All right, folks. Well, I'll be back in a little while, and I'll be hosting with a listener for the first time. Until then, I will talk to you all later.